The return of trick-or-treating can be traced back centuries, and to learn the origin of Halloween is why we've called on Nicholas Rogers, a history professor at York University and author of Halloween, From Pagan Ritual to Party Night. Professor Rogers, it's great to have you here today. Where does Halloween come from? Explain its origin for us.
It comes from two traditions. The first is an ancient Celtic festival called Samhain, or Summer's End, and the Christian festival of Hallowmass, or Hallowtide, when people prayed for the dead. I mean, Halloween is really the eve of all hallows, the eve of all saints.
And that was a common thing in the early days, to weld Christian holidays onto what had been pagan holidays,
yes,
right?
Yes, that's often happened. Yes,
why was that?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, to begin with, I think actually the Christian church had a lot of magical elements to it, so it wasn't difficult to fuse. It's possible that people wanted to re-Christianize populations, and that was a good way to do it if you annexed, so to speak, a pagan festival.
Well-known pagan festivals. Let's get to some of the specifics of Halloween. The whole idea of trick-or-treat, what's that about?
Trick-or-treating, well, it goes back to the threshold encounter of All Souls, when people actually went to people's houses and prayed for the recently departed in those houses in return for food and drink. But the modern trick-or-treating comes from the post-war period, really from the 1950s onwards.
What happened in the 1950s that changed?
Well, I think people were very worried about the vandalism associated with Halloween and the pranks that turned ugly in the interwar period, and I think they wanted to tone it down. And so there was a deliberate attempt, really, to partly infantilize the holiday and partly make it more palatable for kids.
And I take it that's where the candy came from.
Exactly, the candies. I mean, it used to be apples and nuts, now it's candies. Yeah.
How do you think Halloween has changed in the, 60 years since you mentioned?
I think it's changed in quite a few ways. First of all, it's incredibly commercial now. People no longer make their costumes, they usually buy them. The young adults make it a great party night for 2 or 3 days, and so there's that aspect to it, I think, in particular. At various times, people have used Halloween as a kind of social space. In the 1960s, for example, the gays came out on Halloween as a cross-dressing night, and so it was a very important festival for them before we got Pride Day.
A fascinating book, Halloween, From Pagan Ritual to Party Night. Nicholas Rogers, York University history professor. A pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you, and hope you enjoy your Halloween as well.
Yes, thank you very much.